Thank you so much, City Director Cappy Pack, for that kind introduction. I do appreciate you not reading the 2 pages. I normally would give a flowery speech, a sermon, one might say, but today we're on assignment. And that assignment is to focus on the mid-year update of our city. But before I can share all these updates, I want to take this time and share the attention that none of these positive things happens without an entire team. And that team starts with our City of Little Rock Board of Directors. So I now want to take time to recognize Ward 3 City Director and Vice Mayor Kathy Webb. Let's give her a round of applause. We have been calling her our food czar as we talk about how do we address food insecurity, and we know the great work that she's done across the state in her previous job, and she continues to do that at the City of Little Rock. I want to recognize City Director Cappy Peck, who, if you know anything about this city, you know she loves our Parks and Recreation city, part of our Park and Recreation within our city. We're so grateful for her and her great work. Clearly, everybody loves trios, so go check it out. Also, at-large City Director Antoine Phillips, we're so grateful for him and all that he's done. We talked about early in the State of the City in January a need for a tenant rights habitability law. He led and shepherded that, and we got that today because of him, so thank you so much. Normally, he's front and center. He's hiding in the back, but that's Ward 1 City Director Virgil Miller. We want to share our appreciation to him and all he does for downtown Little Rock, as well as Soma and the East Village and the East End. He's everywhere, and we're very grateful for the work that he's doing. Let's give him a round of applause. And to all the other city directors who aren't here, we share our appreciation to them. We're here today to talk about the City of Little Rock, Arkansas State Capital City, its transformational journey. Since January 1 of 2024, I'm happy to report first and foremost that our city is alive, it's well, and it's moving forward in many different aspects. And today we want to talk about how we focus on the number one thing that any city needs to have. You can't have a prosperous city unless the city is a safe city. And so we're so excited about our focus on it as it relates to enhancing public safety, led by our Chief of Police, Heath Helton. One of the things that you should know about your city right now, clearly we all understand that we are the largest, most diverse city in the state of Arkansas. We're also, the state of Arkansas is a small state. So the city of Little Rock cannot be compared to a city like Bryan or Benton. We compare ourselves to other larger cities because we are the largest city in a small state, so we have different realities. But because of those realities, I'm happy to report that public safety, the overall crime right now, is down 7%. Overall crime is down 7% year to date. As it relates to violent crime, we're now down somewhere around 5% year to date. When we look at the numbers over the past 5 years, we see that overall crime is down 4%. As well as violent crime is down 5% year-to-date over the last 5 years. Why do I share that? The stats may say one thing, but as your mayor, we have to focus on the feelings, because some people may still feel unsafe in this city. And so while I can regurgitate all the numbers in the world, it's our jobs on why we focus on how we address your feeling of being safe in this city. And so one of those particular initiatives that we've worked on this entire year is our Eyes on the Rocks campaign. So far, we have integrated through our real-time crime center, where we received $1.2 million from the American Rescue Plan Act to start up one of the state's first real-time crime centers. And essentially what it is, if you've ever seen CSI, it gives us the opportunity to help prevent crime, and when crime happens, we're able to increase the number of capture rates as quickly as possible to make certain that that crime doesn't happen again. To date, when you combine both of the City of Little Rock's cameras that have been funded through the City of Little Rock Board of Directors, as well as businesses and residents who've allowed themselves to sign up, we do not look at your cameras, but it does share us where a camera is located when crime happens, and then we can work with you to figure out what happened, when it happened, and so we can capture that offended. Understanding that, we have about 3,200 cameras. We need more. 2 years ago, Jay Cheshire and I, if you remember, in Atlanta, there was a mass shooting at a hospital. We got the notice from the mayor of Atlanta because we were going there for some meetings at 10 o'clock. By the time we landed at 11:30, they had already pinpointed that person in another county. Why? because of their eyes on Atlanta. And so what we're asking for you, we need to increase this number. It's now 3,200, we need about 30,000. At the time, 2 years ago, Atlanta had 14,000. Today they have 45,000. This helps prevent crime. This helps protect each of us as we continue to move forward, and addresses the feeling of being unsafe, knowing that there are additional eyes on the streets in addition to our police officers. I'm happy to report that we've increased our staffing with the Little Rock Police Department to 514 sworn officers. To date, our vacancy rate is 48. I remember a time when our vacancy rate was 120. Due to the City of Little Rock Board of Directors approving our request of $10,000 sign-on bonuses, we've been seeing anywhere from 20 to 40 recruits in our recruit classes. Just right now, next week, we'll be signing on an additional 33 officers. That means something. That means there are more boots on the ground in addition to the eyes that we have on the ground with these cameras. And that's all because of the leadership that we have right now within Chief Helton. So Chief Helton, I want to say thank you, what you've been able to do with the men and women of Little Rock Police Department. As we focus on public safety, we also want to understand how do we address what I call the ACT plan, to be accountable, clear, and transparent. One of the things that we love to do at City Hall is focus on performance and innovation, but you can't track data unless you have the data. And once you have the data, you have to utilize the data to create data-driven policies. And so what we want you all to do, out of the great leadership of our City of Little Rock Board of Directors, one of the things, and as well as our team, we created Rockfolio. Rockfolio is a report card on our performance on what we've been able to do with the progress and the promises that we've made to you. So when I'm up here on TV or saying something, I want you to hold us accountable. And we have the data metrics to show you what we said, what we've done, and how we kept our promises. Anything from, if you want to understand how much people make at the City of Little Rock to keep us fiscally responsible, we have a data wallet. A lot of that was encouraged by City Director Cappy Peck, and we were able to work with our Chief Data Officer to ensure that that's there. In addition to that, any type of promise we've made, it's on there. Whether it's understanding code enforcement, led by our Director Kevin Howard, the new public platform as it relates to public works to understand how our streets are, and we'll talk a little bit later, and the critical need to invest in our infrastructure. So please, I encourage you all to please go to our Rockfolio platform at littlerock.gov, and you can understand the different promises we made, the promises we kept, and where we're still working in progress to achieve too at that same time. As we focus on this data, City Director Cappy Peck, one of the things she will always talk to you about is that we have 63 parks in our entire city. This is what we inherited. I don't know why we have 63 parks, but we do. And the good thing about having these 63 parks is it creates a quality of life and place within our city. But we also have to take care of those parks. But one of the things that we've been able to do throughout this period of time is have a greater focus on the maintenance of these particular parks. But we're going to be asking you as residents later on down the road that we need more dollars to take care of our parks. We just have to. We're operating on a budget that's 20 years old as it relates to our parks and recreational system. And every city now, when you think about newcomers coming to any individual city, quality of place is the new economic development model. Millennial generation and Generation Z, they decide where they want to live first, then their career. Those that are entering the retiring age and have discretionary wealth, guess what? They choose to age in place and retire where they want to have fun and something to do. And so for any city in America right now, you have to be solely focused on how do you increase the quality of life and place in any way, form, or fashion. Clearly, public safety plays a role. Clearly, affordable housing plays a role. But you have to have things to do. And it's also a crime prevention strategy. One of the things I often tell people, the best way to solve crime in any city is for someone to have a job and have something to do. If you have a job, you got something to lose, and you got something to do, it keeps you occupied for doing something you don't need to do. And so that's the reason why we have to continue to focus on the parks and recreational system. But the great things that are happening is that people truly are seeing what's going on great here in the city of Little Rock. That's the reason why USA News has reported us one of the top cities to live in. That's the reason why Forbes magazine has shared different highlights about us. That's the reason why more people are moving to our city today than ever before, because we've been focused on quality of life, quality of place, and particularly public safety. And we understand that we have the ingredients to take our city to higher heights. That's the reason why our city in the 2020 census was one of 2 mid-sized cities to actually see growth in their population. That was Little Rock and Huntsville, Alabama. Our city is growing, and we have to continue to foster that growth by making certain we have the infrastructure in place to take it to the next level. I can talk for days about parks and recreation, but one of the things I love to talk about is the great work that the Little Rock Regional Chamber of Commerce led under Jay Cheshire, the City of Little Rock Board of Directors, and all of the local developers within our city. We've seen close to 11,000 new jobs come to our city. Historic. That's never happened before. And that's because we've had the tools in place, whether it's economic development funding, infrastructure funding, and good old asking for the business. We've been able to get the deals done to bring a myriad of companies to our city to grow. And that's the reason why we're so excited to see this 11,000 new jobs. But one of the things that we have to understand is that the city of Little Rock and the Little Rock region, just last year, we represented 59% of all new jobs in the state of Arkansas. The Little Rock region, 59% of all new jobs came from Little Rock in the state of Arkansas. That shows not how we're growing, that shows the appetite that the outside world has to locate here in the city of Little Rock. And we have to continue to keep fueling our economy to ensure that we have jobs in place for our residents, and we continue to bring more companies and also more headquarters right here. And in moving from economic development, I have to always focus on why and the how as it relates to sustainability. I'm happy to report that our city is working to be a greener city. That's the reason why we recently, through the leadership of the City of Little Rock Board of Directors, approving our proposal of a 4.9 megawatt solar array development that's being built right now, actually is being financed right now to be built here in the city of Little Rock to help us reach our 2030 goal. Our 2030 goal is to have the City of Little Rock operations be 100% clean energy. By the flip of the switch, once we can finally construct this solar array development, it will take us to 70%. One thing you should understand is right now we're working with the Clinton Foundation doing a MOU to focus on how do we create a first of its kind sustainability district right here within the city of Little Rock as well as the Clinton Foundation. That will take us to additional close from that 70% to 90%. So we're well on our way of becoming a clean city. And that's a big deal as we continue to focus on the vibrancy of our city to speak to all communities who want to live in a place that is a green city. I think we all can understand that here in Little Rock, we've seen homelessness grow. We've seen that grow across the entire United States. Your city is committed to making certain that we do all we can to give our homeless brothers and sisters an option and a way out. One of the things we've been able to do is to fund a $3.5 million micro home village here in the city of Little Rock. They'll be located off of Roosevelt and Asher Road in an area that does not disturb the community to build these tiny home complex of close to 200 new venues for these individuals for transitional housing. Why do I say transitional housing? Because it's our goal to get them into the micro home village, provide resources for them, and to eventually go from a transitional home to a permanent home. That is the goal. And so we're grateful for the work that we've been able to do to get there with the American Rescue Plan Act dollars. And we look forward to seeing under the leadership of Matt DeSalvo, who's our new chief homeless officer, who's working around the clock to address several different systematic and coordinated issues around homelessness in our city. I want to credit Placer County Barry Hyde, who's opened up his own village as well. His is more of a permanent village for individuals who may not want to receive the help that we're trying to receive. Many times they may want to be left alone, but in a protected environment. And so he's created that, and so we're grateful for him to do that. And so what you see now is a quilt of solutions to address homelessness, and we will continue to focus on there. But as we talk about homelessness, many of us are a paycheck away or a health scare away from being homeless. A lot of times it has to do with the affordability of housing and having a job and things of that nature. And that's the reason why we set forth to have a 100-home affordable home initiative recently that we surpassed and eclipsed with 154 homes and have a new goal of an additional 200 homes. And that's great, where the city of Little Rock is leveraging federal funds to purchase infrastructure, to lay that infrastructure, working with local banks within low to moderate incomes where they receive financing from the banks. We provide a down payment assistance, and these individuals are walking into a home with instant equity that they didn't pay for, that the federal government, City of Little Rock, facilitated to ensure that we have more affordable housing. And we're also teaching financial literacy to ensure, because we never want to put somebody in a home who doesn't understand how to manage that home, and eventually we put them in a worse state. And so that's the reason why we're focused so much on that. And again, as I shared earlier about the tenant rights that was led and shepherded by City Director Antoine Phillips, because we believe, just like landlords ought to have rights, tenants ought to have rights too, and be dealt with in a humane and possible way. And as we move from that standpoint, again, I'm teaching today. I'm not going to preach, and I'm not giving a flowery speech, because I want most of the questions that are to come, and I think that's going to be very helpful for everyone today. We continue to focus on downtown. Downtown Little Rock is the heart and the blood of the state's capital city. And so I'm excited about the great work that we as a team, the City of Little Rock Board of Directors and our staff, have worked on and really showed through the funding of the American Rescue Plan Act by funding a close to $1 million downtown master plan, where we worked all across this city with stakeholder management alongside society, who's a national consultant, to ensure that we create a playbook that doesn't sit on the shelf, but is played from, to ensure we grow our downtown. So many great things have already happened in downtown Little Rock. When you think about the Central Arkansas Library System that's invested $30 million in downtown Little Rock. You think about the Stella Boyle Center that just was developed in downtown Little Rock. You think about the expansion that's going to happen right here, a $100 million expansion in downtown Little Rock. When you think about the ambassador program to have additional eyes and ears on the streets for public safety as it relates to downtown Little Rock, we are doing a lot because we deserve it and the residents expect it. And we got to continue to fuel downtown Little Rock to show our vibrancy as a state capital city. And so I just want to say thank you to Gabe Holstrom, all the Downtown Little Rock Partnership Committee members, the City of Little Rock Board of Directors, and everyone who's played a role that we are making these investments together. And then finally, as we talk through different things, we got to talk about the Little Rock Port. When you think about the city of Little Rock and our economic development strategy, it's really because what I call the 4 R's, river, rail, road, and runway, all intersect within downtown Little Rock and East Little Rock. And that has been a high point as Jay Cheshire and myself and others and Jack Thomas and Buckley O'Meal, we are focusing on how we share that story with companies across this nation as well as companies across this world. And they're utilizing us for our distribution and logistics strengths. And that has been very helpful. This city has invested $31 million in the Little Rock Port Authority that has given us a return on the investment for $831 million. We don't have those 11,000 new jobs without the Little Rock Port and the leadership of Brian Day and those port commissioners. And so very excited about that particular kind of work that we're doing there. All this goes to say with this: we've done a lot with little. We've cut back for 5.5 years. We've led through a pandemic. We've led through economic volatility. And if we did not have the American Rescue Plan Act and many different things, I don't know where our city would be because of the things that happen across this nation. Clearly, we also experienced the March 31st, 2023 tornado. I'm grateful that many of those areas and residents are coming back. There's still a lot more work to do. We know in situations like that, it's a 3 to 4 or 5 year journey. We're commending all of those who have built back. And so, Bill, thank you so much for building back. And we are continuing to do it. And one of the greatest advocates for her ward during that particular time is Director Kathy Pegg, walking the streets alongside others. So a lot's happened. But for all that to happen, and we still have population growth, economic growth, and we can go days for days on the number of policies that we have been able to achieve because we want to enhance the overall quality of life and place in our city because of all of you. So our city is alive and well. But we need more investment in ourselves. 2 or 3 years ago, Jay Cheshire and myself, we went to study economic development in some other cities to put a fresh set of eyes. We went to 5 different cities. I believe it was Frisco, Texas, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, and the other 2 escape me right now. But one of the 2 cities that meant the most to me was Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City in the mid-90s was struggling for a number of different reasons. And those residents and that city leadership decided to invest in what they call now the MAPS program. So the Oklahoma City that you see today is because of work of the city leadership and residents deciding to invest in themselves, and they're now on the 5th iteration of the MAPS program, which is basically a sales tax that's solely focused on quality and life in place. And so what we've been able to share over the past month and having different city leaders going to different community meetings is sharing a proposal that's before the City of Little Rock Board of Directors right now on how we focus on quality and life in place through the 4 Ps, where we want to advance a penny sales tax within the City of Little Rock that is going to generate somewhere around $650 million. To focus on the 4 Ps, those 4 Ps include public safety, parks and recreation, public infrastructure, and the Little Rock Port and economic development. We can go through, and I'm not going to go through all these slides because I think you all have more questions. But in each area of these 4 Ps, whether it's public safety, we're increasing more dollars for the public safety fleet, close to $50 million just for our fleet, to create a permanent fleet program for both the Little Rock Police Department and the Little Rock Fire Department. We have to have these dollars because if any of you have homeowners insurance or property insurance, you should be happy about the work of Chief Delphon Hubbard. Why? Because we have an ISO 1 rating. If you don't know what that is, if that's diminished, your insurance will go up. And we're able to keep insurance low because of that great work, but we have to continue to invest in the investments there. We're investing more dollars in code enforcement because we know we have to continue to keep people accountable, whether it's the landlords and the tenants, from that process. We're investing more dollars to have community response teams added in addition to the 514 officers that we have today. We are focused on public safety. That's the reason why crime is down. That's the reason why violent crime is down. We're down 36% in homicides. That's a big deal. And it's a credit to the men and women of Little Rock Police Department. Secondly, we talk about public infrastructure. Our infrastructure is old and outdated. We've been able to make contributing factors to increase it and do a good job, but right now, we're experiencing a 51% critical need in public safety. So we're grateful to the residents who recently passed our millage last year to add additional $80 to $100 million in our public infrastructure in our streets, but also we understand that we need to do more, and that's the reason why we have additional dollars for public infrastructure within the sales tax amendment. What I want you to understand from this standpoint, that costs have gone up. 2 or 3 years ago, to repave a road was $150,000. Today, it's $300,000. Costs continue to go up. To do a new road, somewhere around $1 million. It's now $2.5 million. We have seen inflation grow. We've seen different things. We have to continue to make investment in ourselves to be the city that we want. So I'm grateful for the work that's been done by John Honeywell, who's here today. But that 3rd P, parks and recreations, I talked a long time about how we focus on quality of life in place. We have to increase the investment of the maintaining what we already have, which is those 63 parks. We have a considerable amount of money, close to $30 million that have never been seen before just for the maintenance of those 63 parks. But while we maintain what we have, we know there's a greater desire from families and communities to have more attractions downtown, particularly as it relates to youth sports. Youth sports is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Many of you are out of the city of Little Rock every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, going across this state and across this region to take your children, and you're spending thousands of dollars on the weekend, not in Little Rock. You're spending it in Conway. You're spending it in Bryan. You're spending it in Benton. And those dollars could be right here in the city of Little Rock, the state's capital city, if we had a greater focus on youth sports. But it's not only about the dollars that we get from tourists, but it's about having things to do for our children, because if our children are playing, it's better be playing on a football field than playing at your house. We have to focus on this. And so we're excited that one of the things that we're looking at is having an indoor sports complex right here in downtown Little Rock. We have not defined the location. It likely will be behind here. And if not behind here, it'll be somewhere close behind the Simmons building. But somewhere downtown in East Little Rock, we're looking to have this indoor sports complex as well as a outdoor sports complex west of 430 near the southwest area as it relates to the outlet mall and other areas. We want to focus on that. And then finally, as we continue to talk about port and economic development, it's our goal to move from that 11,000 new jobs to close to 20 to 25,000 new jobs. We want to continue to have more jobs for our city. This is your update. I could talk for another hour and give you more statistics. I don't want to bore you today. I was very intentional not to give you a flowery speech because I want to make time to answer questions. I do want to ask that some of the city directors, I may call on you to answer some of these questions so you all understand the unity that we have. That doesn't mean we're going to always agree, but one thing we agree on is the forward movement of the city of Little Rock. And so I'm grateful for Vice Mayor Kathy Webb, City Director Cappy Peck, City Director Virgil Miller, City Director Antoine Phillips, and every city director, because we have been growing the city forward together and we'll continue to do it together. But I'm also asking each of you all, it's about us. It's about the pride in our city, making certain that we continue the swagger that we have to do greater things. Thank you so much.